All right, class. This week we're going to go over stress and how stress plays a role in our lives and our health. So we'll talk about stress, what stress is, how stress is related to diseases, find some common sources, and look at how we can manage and some strategies to manage our stress. I know right now it's probably a stressful time. We can go through some of these strategies, and that may take some of that stress away or help us handle it a little bit better. Okay, so let's start with what stress is. Stress is the event that is causing a physical reaction. It can be mental, it can be physical, and then the reaction that happens to our body itself, because our body reacts to all stressors in a very similar way. Okay, stressors are the triggers. They're a situation that triggers us to have a physiological, physical response and an emotional response to that stressor. So what are some of those responses? Okay, if we look at the nervous system changes because the nervous system is pretty much our control center. It lets us know if we can begin digesting food, if we need to change our heart rate, change blood pressure, change other bodily functions. That all comes from nervous system or comes from our brain and our spinal cord. Okay, the autonomic nervous system is the path of the nervous system that we cannot control. So it just runs on its own. It does all of the background work while we have conscious control of our normal movement. The parasympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system is, think of this as our rest and digest, our relaxation pathway, and the sympathetic nervous system is our arousal, our stress, our fight or flight system. Okay. These all work based on neurotransmitters. So these are chemicals sent through our nervous system that change how our body's reacting. So it will affect our organs, our blood vessels, our muscles, and our thought process. So these changes cause our reflexive reactions and cause our brain to adapt or to change to a stressor. Our adrenal glands are one of the hormone production organs that allow us to produce things like cortisol and epinephrine, which get our body revving up, ready to go, ready to fight something or ready to run away if we have to. Okay. The physiological response to these stress is called the fight or flight reaction. And this is where our heart rate goes up, our breathing starts going up, we start to sweat. You get those sweaty palms probably during this time. We start sending out endorphins so that we can stop pain, block pain, so that we can keep fighting if we're injured, because this is where we're reacting to something that our body thinks is going to kill us. But after that stressful event or that stressor, we go down into our parasympathetic nervous system or back to homeostasis, because our body doesn't like to stay in that arousal state very long. So once we're able to say, oh, the stressor's gone, we're good, we go back to our rest, digest, relaxation nervous system zone. So this is kind of relaxing after we've had a more stressful event. Okay. That fight or flight reaction is great when we needed to run away or needed to fight against our food or something trying to make us food. But as we have evolved, as our times have changed, this reaction is causing some more negative side effects because we're constantly feeling this fight or flight reaction when there's nothing to fight and there's no reason to run. Okay. So we all have the same physiological response no matter what that stressor is. So how you think about the stressor and how much you think or how you perceive your level of control against that stressor is going to dictate the magnitude of that stress response. Okay, so if you think you are out of control, you have no way to respond to that stressor, you're going to see it as a much larger stressor than if you think, oh, okay, I can handle this. Your body's not going to set off that same grand response to that stress. Okay, so this really comes from how we think and what we do with our thought process when it comes to these stressors. Okay, because most stressors now are more mentally driven. Okay, our thoughts are causing us stress. So some of the responses once we've kind of overloaded that stressful system are things like anxiety, fear, and it doesn't allow us to process those stressors effectively. Okay. So some effective ways to handle those stress would be things like talking, laughing, things like exercising. Okay. Exercising, it actually gets us to do that fight or flight response. But in the real world, we're actually causing physical stress through exercise and allows us to release all of those hormones and allows us to come back down to homeostasis after. Some of those ineffective responses to stress are overeating, hostility, and then the use of other substances to change your perception. Okay. Some people have a personality that's more likely to react strongly to stressors. Okay. Some of your behavioral traits may cause you to lean more one way or the other. People who are ultra competitive, type A, very controlling, when they lose control, they have a very heavy response to that stress, often a hostile, aggressive response. Type B people have a more relaxed demeanor, a little bit more relaxed response to stress. Often they handle that stress a little bit better. Type C will often have more suppressed anger, and minor stressors will respond much greater than what we would normally see from a very minor stressor. So they kind of react strongly to the stressor regardless of what it is. And then type D people have a little bit more negative anxiety and depression coming with stressors. So stressors put them into that down or depressed state. Some traits that can maybe help or hinder your stress response are things like hardiness. Okay, it's a type of optimism. I recommend it. Try it out. Hardy people perceive stressors as less, or don't even perceive some stressors that someone may think could be a stress to them. They don't see it that way. It's more like a positive optimism. Things will be okay. There's other stress power motivation. Some people who are very over controlling or aggressive, if they lose control, will often have this power response. They want to bring power back, and they may do that aggressively. Unstressed affiliation motivation comes from perceiving that if you're not liked or if other people don't want to be around you, that's a negative thing, and that's a stressor for most people with that trait. And then resilience is another one we should focus on, is holding on and not allowing the stress to kind of take over. If stress happens, it's okay, and we take another step forward. Right. So other things that can cause that stress, some of the ways that we perceive stress, your gender role may cause you some stress. Adhering to a certain role or adhering to a certain standard that you didn't set for yourself can often become a stressor. Dealing with different cultural backgrounds is often a very large source of stress. Meeting new people, people who don't agree with you, and understanding that it's okay that people don't agree with you. But some people, when they aren't agreed with, react a lot more harshly than we really should, because that does cause them some kind of stress. Okay. Your experiences will also influence your stressors. Okay. If you practice positive hardiness traits and help you hold through all of those stressful times, that may help you overcome some of those negative past experiences. But past experiences influence how we perceive new experiences. So if everything has been causing you stress and stress and stress, new things are likely to also cause you that same stress response. With all of these, okay, stress is going to be a very strong physical response and emotional and behavioral response. So what you do after that stressor is going to come from that stressor and how your body's reacting to that situation, or that situation that's causing you stress, or thought that's causing you stress. Your thoughts can play the same role as what's going on in the world. Your brain doesn't know any different. Okay. So stress does play a role in health. Okay. Stress is related to different diseases, especially chronic stress. Okay. We know that with stress, there are positive and negative stressors, or eustress and distress. Positive stressors help us build, help us adapt, help us find new levels. Stress that's negative or distress often brings us down and pushes us into more of an exhaustion zone. Okay, so when a stressor occurs, we feel alarm or we feel scared, our body reacts in that same way. Okay? When we're in that state, we're more susceptible to disease. We're ready to fight an immediate threat, not a long-term chronic threat. Then after that stress has happened, our body begins to resist the stress, and it develops and holds on. It allows us to become more resilient. That's that adaptation we're gaining from being exposed to that stress. But if we have that stress for too long, we're not able to recover and resist that stress, it will often lead to a physical and mental exhaustion. People in the athletic zone think about overtraining. It's the same thing, but it's with mental or emotional stress can cause the same physical response. Okay. All of your total stress is built up into your allostatic load. This is every stressor that you have and your ability to recover from them. Long-term chronic stress leads to chronic disease. It's one of our risk factors, especially for the cardiovascular system, because stress, or that stress response, elevates heart rate, elevates blood pressure. And then if you're already susceptible to things like hypertension, you're putting yourself in a hypertensive state all the time, and you're not allowing your body to recover from that change. So we need that recovery from stressors. We need to be able to bring ourselves back to normal before a new stressor happens. If we're constantly giving ourselves stress and stress and stress from either thinking about stressors, thinking about things that cause that same response, or being exposed to them, we're going to wear our body down. Our body can't handle that kind of stress response forever, long term. All right, now let's talk about how stress is related to some of these diseases, some of these conditions. Okay. Stress causes a hormonal response, or causes our hormones to change, and that decreases our immune system function, because in an event where we need to save our life, our immune system is going to go on the back burner. Okay, it's not going to help us fight something off or run away. Okay. Chronic stress can cause a lowering immune function long term, often through a secretion of hormones like cortisol and more inflammatory responses. We can go into all the physiology, but this chronic stress response changes the way we react within our body and the way our body processes materials, how it allows us to recover, how it allows us to digest our food, changes all of our functions throughout the body. And if we're chronically stressed, we're not able to work at the way that we're supposed to internally. Okay, so things like cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer in the United States. Okay, during that stress response, we elevate our blood pressure, we elevate our heart rate, and we're ready to go, we're ready to run, we're ready to fight. But this chronic high blood pressure can lead to things like strokes, heart attacks, and often people who respond hostilely to stressful situations have higher blood pressure, have higher heart rates, and higher chronically or long term, which causes a higher risk for things like heart attack. Okay, some other health problems, digestive issues. If we're not allowing us to get into that parasympathetic or that rest and digest state, we're going to have digestion problems because our body's not allowing us to fully digest food. Okay. Headaches, migraines, insomnia, fatigue, more injuries, acute injuries. If you're not allowing your body to recover, you're more likely to be susceptible to injury on the job or anywhere in life, because your body is at this ready to go state and it's never allowing it to recover. So it's constantly breaking down, and not allowing you to come back to normal. It can also cause changes hormonally with reproductive function and psychological issues. It can change your psychology, change how your brain's functioning with chronic stress and chronic hormonal secretions during that stress response. So where does the stress come from? Okay. Major life changes can be a large source of stress. Switching to an online class format is probably a stress for you. It's a stress for me. Okay. Things like college itself can be an extreme stressor. Okay. We can think of these as positive stressors or useful stresses or use stresses. But if you perceive it as something negative, your body's going to respond like it is something that is negative and trying to hurt you. Okay. Things like daily hassles can often cause a larger response than they need to. Okay. Some people, daily hassles decrease their overall wellness because they're responding with a negative perception and a negative physiological response to things like someone cutting you off on the freeway, okay? Or the fact that you have to stay inside all day, or you're not supposed to go outside, or you can't do something. Okay? That can be a daily hassle. Those are some of our new daily hassles. But if we perceive it as it's okay, it's not going to hurt me, our body's not going to respond in that same, oh no, we need to save ourselves stress response. Okay. College stresses, besides being on online format, academic stresses, interpersonal stresses. If you're not getting along with the people around you, it's going to cause you stress. If you aren't preparing well for your classes, or you're thinking poorly about your ability in classes, it's going to cause stress and it's going to cause negative performance. If you can't control your time or manage your time, this right now on a kind of on your own format is very difficult to manage your time. You don't have that same structure. This is the time to adapt and to plan and to manage your time a little bit better. Different financial concerns, worries about the future, especially right now, can cause major stress responses, especially if we perceive them negatively. If you're working right now, your job may be a stressor, or if you can't work right now, that may be another stressor for you. Okay, understanding your position, where you work, what you do. If you have a college-related job, sometimes being around too much or doing things like work all the time. I'm someone who's done this before. Just go, and not really worry about how you're feeling, how you're recovering, can lead to a real burnout or mental or emotional exhaustion. So understand that you do have to come back. I think this whole quarantine thing is giving people a time to actually step back and relax a little bit. It may end up being a better thing in some cases. Some relationship stressors, okay, good communication is key with interpersonal relationships. Okay, you need to be on the same page. You need to understand where different people are coming from. Okay, even if it's a friend, if it's a intimate relationship, understanding where you stand and allowing good communication will keep that stress out. If you're not communicating well, if you're not able to express yourself and listen, you're going to see some stresses within that relationship. Some other social stresses, we're pretty much living through a social network now. So that is changing how we respond to stress. Having that phone in your pocket and having those notifications go over, go. We don't get a chance to step back. I recommend things like leave your phone in one room for an hour and don't go and touch it. It may allow you to kind of back off, relax, reset, so that you're not constantly getting this input from emails. You're getting text messages, notifications. I turn notifications off on my phone so I don't see them all the time, or they don't make noise, because I can't have that all the time. Certain times, yeah, but not all the time. Okay, there's other real networks, so those people that you've made connections with. Right now, it's probably just your family or your roommates that you're really around. But with all of this change, it can be extremely stressful. Let's try and perceive it in a positive way so that we have a positive response. You have something to do and all those notifications keep going. Yeah, it's coming in on your personal space. It's just really distracting you. I recommend, especially if it's time to work on school work, you put your phone on do not disturb, you put it on some other room so you can't even see it. If you put it somewhere where you can't see it, you're not going to be kind of inclined to go and check. If it's in your sight line, you'll probably check it. So make it inconvenient to grab it when it's time that you shouldn't be using that phone, because it's not time, or using it would impinge on your time that you're trying to use for something maybe a little bit more productive than scrolling through Instagram. There's other environmental stressors. Okay, if you're going outside, it's noisy, you're not living in a great area, there's natural disasters, there's a virus outside. Those other stressors can cause a very major physiological response. Take some deep breaths. Okay, it's going to be okay. We're going to make it through it. Okay, but try and find a positive within all of those stressors. Finding the positive can help you get a more positive physical response, emotional response, and health response. Okay. We also have internal stressors. So all of those external stressors are, yeah, we can see them, but the internal stressors are often the ones that cause the most chronic stress. Not trying to reach your goals, or having goals that are outside of your reach, or everything that you're thinking about when you're trying to go to sleep and then you can't fall asleep because you're constantly thinking. There's all of these things going on. And those internal stressors cause the same physical reaction. So we need to control those internal stressors also. You may not be able to see them, but we do need to be aware of them and take a little bit more control over them. So how do we manage stress? How do we take control of those stressors? Exercise is a great one. I know right now you can't go to a gym, but you can go outside and walk. You can do some exercise in your house right now. I challenge you 10 push-ups. Ready, go. All right, now you feel a little bit less stressed. Good. Okay, you got that positive effect. Okay, exercise allows us to use our body and physically express that stress response, and it will cause us to go back into that relaxation state. Handling your nutrition can also be a huge strategy for managing stress. Having a more nutritious diet, so going back to our nutrition section, paying attention to our proteins that we're eating, paying attention to at least having our vegetables or our fruits, and staying away from those processed foods can help us take some control over what's going on. Having some self-control and having some control over your food can allow you to take that control into other aspects of your life, and you'll also feel better. Okay? When you have positive nutrition, your digestion works better and you feel better. Other things like avoiding caffeine. Caffeine can elevate your stress response. So if you're stressed and you reach for a cup of coffee, it's only going to ramp you up even more. So that may be a strategy that you can use to slow your stress, especially if it's in the afternoon and you are very responsive to caffeine. You may not be able to sleep, and then you are stressed because you can't sleep, and then the next day stressed because you feel like you didn't get enough sleep. Yeah, it's just a go and go and go. It's a slippery slope after that. Okay, I recommend finding some social support, some friendships, families, groups to get involved with. This is a great way to build community and have someone to lean on when those stressful times really come. It's very difficult to do that right now, where we're kind of stuck into our own little bubble because we can't go and see other people. Try and find a new way. Connect with people. Maybe set up a Zoom meeting with some of your friends and you guys can hang out virtually. I recommend it. I did it the other day with a few of my old friends that I haven't seen in a long time. It really helps you control some of that stress and take your mind off of what's going on. Other ways is through great communication. It's hard now because less of our communication is face-to-face, is physical. Most communication comes from body language, how you move. So next time you're in a Zoom meeting with a professor or a Zoom lecture, put your camera on. They appreciate it. They like that interaction, and it helps us better get that message over to you because we really need that communication there. I know it's hard with this YouTube format, but it's going to help in the long term with controlling your stress and allowing you to work on your own time and control that time. Some keys for communication, things like self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is a nice, easy way to kind of bridge that gap between two people, reveal a little personal information about you that may be kind of more risky to share. Okay, it doesn't have to be something crazy, but give a little bit of personal information, something that's maybe something that worries you, and then they may open up to you also because they know that you've already kind of opened up to them. Be the first person. Also listen. Okay, when someone's telling you a story or someone's talking about something, listen and then respond in a way that is linked to the story. Don't just respond right away when they say something. Let them listen, let them go, let them talk, think, and respond accordingly. Don't take your own perceptions into the story. Let them finish their story, let them talk. Give them your time. They're more likely to give you their time also. Okay? When it comes to conflicts can also cause us quite a bit of stress. If we don't handle our conflicts in a constructive way, it can burn bridges or destroy relationships. Okay? Some ways that we can resolve some conflict: communication is key. Okay, what's the issue? What's going on? What do people want? What's going on both sides? And then is there some middle ground that we can take? Determine kind of how much you are willing to give or negotiate, how much they want, how much you want, and is there some way that both of you can win in this scenario? And once you've set up some kind of agreement or you've set up some kind of terms, solidify it, shake on it. Maybe it's sign a contract. I've had roommate agreements. I've had disagreements with roommates, and I set up contracts. We talked about what we wanted, built a contract, signed it. We were good because we knew what was going on both sides. I've also had roommates that didn't handle conflict very well, and they weren't the best to live with. They were definitely harder to communicate with, and often we didn't live together for very long after that. So develop a negotiation, be willing to give a little bit, and they'll be a little bit more willing to give you if you offer to give also. Find some kind of middle ground. Don't be as stubborn as you may want to be. It's better to resolve the conflict than to have someone tell you that you're right. Being right doesn't really solve any problems. Find a resolution that everyone wins. And if you're right, okay. If you're not right, it doesn't really change anything. Okay. So other ways we can go towards spiritual wellness if maybe we're handling what's going on internally. I recommend, now that we have a little bit different time, you're probably not on a structured schedule. You probably are sitting around like, I don't know what to do. Maybe it's look inside yourself. Spiritual wellness isn't religious. It's understanding yourself and what's going on inside. Okay, so look inward. Think about what means what to you, what you want, and take some time to just think. I recommend maybe go to one room, make it quiet, go in the backyard, go outside for a walk where it's just you and think. Sometimes I like to do it when I drive. Turn off all the music, turn off all the sound, and just think for a little bit. It often helps you reset, come back to where you need to be, and then maybe reach out to others, find that little connection, and build in a meaningful way with those people. Okay. Other things, one I'm not a big fan of, I don't like to sit down and write because my brain moves a little faster than my hands sometimes and it gets frustrating and stressful, so I don't. But try it out. Try journaling, try writing down what's causing stress and how you're reacting to the stress. And over time, you can look back and you can maybe find some ways that you can respond to them, or you can notice that, hey, whenever I go around this person or whenever I engage in this activity, I get a stress response, and then maybe you can start avoiding that activity or changing your mentality towards that activity to reduce some of that stress or manage the stress in a more positive way. Okay. When it comes to other things like time management is key to avoiding stress, especially in a work or academic setting. Don't overcommit yourself. I used to overcommit myself way too much. I would say yes to absolutely everything, and then I would realize, oh no, I can't do everything. And then that would be a major source of stress. I'd have a little breakdown. and then I'd just take a little talking down, and then I'd be fine. But it happened multiple times. Now I know that I can say no, and it's okay. It doesn't matter that it's not going to hurt someone else's feelings if you say, hey, I just can't do this. I got too much on my plate. They probably understand. Other things like procrastination, which is really easy to do right now with this change in setting because you don't have a nice set structure. It's very easy to procrastinate and just push everything back. I'm guilty of it. I really force myself not to procrastinate. I like to wake up and do things right when I wake up because that's the best time for me to get things done. I pour a cup of coffee and I can start going. That's what I'm doing right now. But avoiding that procrastination, okay, tomorrow, later, just do things when you have the time. Set a schedule, plan things out, okay, get a calendar, get a planner, set yourself times, and be conscious that you need to make that commitment to yourself. Be disciplined, practice it. It'll help you with that long-term skill. And the last one, boredom. You're probably thinking, oh, I'm bored right now. I'm bored at home. I'm bored doing something. If you're bored, you're probably procrastinating. And you probably have something else to get done. Like watch this lecture and then do the discussion board. If you're bored, find something productive to do. Maybe it's read a book. Maybe it's work on your other classes. Set aside some time to work and then set aside some time to have family time. I don't like working from home because it forces me to do both. I have to coordinate my relaxation zone with my work zone, which allows me to procrastinate a little bit more than I should because I don't like working when I'm in my relaxation zone. But if I feel like, hey, I don't know what to do, it's time to start doing something that really needs to get done. Okay. Some management tips that I have for you. Consolidate your tasks. If you have things that are similar that need to get done, put them together in your time zone. If it's watch a lecture and do a discussion board, don't watch the lecture and then the next day go do the discussion board. Consolidate those tasks, put things together when you can. If it's cooking and doing dishes, maybe do them both at the same time or do the dishes immediately after dinner. I'm guilty of not doing that, and now I have to go do a bunch of dishes. Identify transitional tasks, things that you can do in between. Maybe it's you're watching your lecture, you go and clean your bathroom, and then you come back and do the discussion board. Those transitional tasks can help you stay on and not take a seat. I know that if the TV turns on, nothing's going to get done, so I don't turn on the TV. Delegate responsibilities when you can. Sometimes you can't delegate. You can't delegate your schoolwork. But you may be able to negotiate some tasks where you say, I'll do this if you take care of this, and delegate accordingly. Say no when you have to. If you have something to get done and someone wants you to go and hang out and you know you need to get something done, get it done. It's okay to say no. It's okay to hurt someone's feelings to work towards what you're trying to do. And then sometimes just give yourself a break. Okay, maybe you just need a little bit of time. We got spring break coming up pretty soon. Give yourself a little break. Let yourself relax. We had that transitional week. Hopefully you got a little bit of time to relax so you can reset and be a little bit more motivated to start working and stop procrastinating. Find personal time sinks. Mine's TV, especially if it's sports, or right now the Game Show Network has really been getting me. Find things that stop you from getting things done and avoid those as much as you can when it's not time to have that relaxation time. And then stop talking about what you have to do and just do it. We like to talk a lot about what we do. Oh, I have this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Just do it and then say, oh, I already finished. It feels a lot better to say that I have done everything rather than, oh no, I have to do something, because that's thinking about a stressor and then it's going to cause a negative response. Set your priorities. Some priorities you may have, like your schoolwork, get it done in the morning. Like schedule things for when you really work well. I know I work well right when I wake up until about 11, and then things start going downhill. So I try and get everything done in that time zone. And write down your goals, things you need to do. Paper doesn't forget. I have a nice long list of things to do. And then budget enough time to get them done. If you put too many goals in a time frame and you can't get them done, it's going to cause you more stress because you couldn't get done the things that you need to get done. And then break up your goals into small goals, small time frames. Make everything manageable and realistic for yourself so you don't set yourself up for a stress response. And then keep track of the things that you put off. I know one for me is maybe grading or cleaning. Notice what you put off and maybe put those at the front of the list so they get done and there's no worry about them later. So do the least favorite task first, and then you'll be a little bit more inclined to do the things that you want to do. Okay. Some other ways we can think about stress. Okay, if we were in this distress zone, which my face is in front of, we want to get in this eustress zone where there's some things that are causing us a little bit of challenge, but nothing's really hurting us. We want to stay in that eustress, that positive stress zone, or in a nice, calm, relaxed zone. Okay, those challenge or eustressors can help us build, help us grow. I call exercise a major eustressor. It challenges us, but it only makes us better. Okay, distress or hindrance stressors, they bring us down as we go. We want to avoid these distressors or change our perception of distress. So if we think something, oh no, now I have to stay inside, now I can't do this, now I can't do that, find something positive with the situation. Oh, this is going to allow me to do this. Being stuck inside and not having to drive anywhere is going to save me money on gas. Now it's a positive. Now I'm not responding in that same negative way. Okay. Other things like self-talk, how you talk to yourself is going to really influence how you feel. Every time you have those negative self-thoughts, like, oh no, you can't do this, oh no, you suck, put up a big stop sign in your brain, and add in some things like, you can do it, it's okay, we've got this. Positive self-talk will keep you in a positive mindset. Negative self-talk is only going to cause more distress. And then that's an internal distress, and it's only going to keep bringing you down and down and down and down when you're the only one who can control you. So give yourself some positives. Okay? Tell yourself you can do it. Tell yourself it's okay. Tell yourself things will work, and then go and make them work. Take control of what you can control, because controlling the controllables is the only thing you can control. Okay? Your attitude and your effort are the only real controllables in your life. So try to have a positive attitude every time, or as often as you can, okay? And give effort towards what needs effort. Okay? If positive things require effort, require your positivity. Negative things, if you give time and you give effort into negative things, you're going to get negative outcomes. If you put time and effort into positive things, you're going to get positive outcomes. It has to happen. Okay? So set yourself up, find a problem, and start addressing it. If you have a problem, find out what the problem really is. Think about it. Take some time. Okay, what's really causing me this distress? Okay, what is it? What's causing it? And then what are some maybe more positive alternative solutions? And what are the consequences for those alternative solutions? Okay, if you see only negative consequences, you probably should change your solution to the problem. Find a solution that has more positive outcomes. And then go forth with that solution and engage in the tasks that you need to. Okay, keep going, keep going. It's probably going to be difficult. Solving problems isn't easy, but if you can push yourself to really keep going, and if you find out that that solution isn't solving your problem, find a new solution. Okay, take that time, put in that effort, because we need it long term, and you need to be the one in control of that solution, okay, so that you have a positive response. So find a solution, create a solution, and keep engaging in that solution, or revising and keep engaging in that solution to a problem. If you can't find a solution, ask for help. Okay? Other people may be able to give you an idea, and then you can engage in that activity. Okay. Some other recommendations I have for you, look at your expectations. And things happen and they happen. Okay. If you can't control it, you can't do anything about it. And if you expect others or you have high expectations and then things don't meet your expectations, it's going to cause stress and negativity. Um, that's okay, but understand that if you're expecting more than is actually realistic or is actually possible, you're only setting yourself up for a stress response. So maybe expect what's realistic, and then if something's better, it's a positive, and then if it maybe just meets that expectation, maybe you're neutral. Okay, don't over expect things from others. Okay, you can't control them, and they may not care about the same things you care about. Okay, if you expect everyone else to do everything for you, they're not going to. If you expect all of your professors to give you all the answers, they're not going to. That's your chance. It's your effort that comes there. Okay, so don't expect things from others that you know is unrealistic or they're going to let you down. Okay, accept what's happening and keep pushing forward with the things you can control. Okay, and then I recommend cultivating a sense of humor. Laughing is good. Find a good funny movie. Find something that makes you happy, makes you laugh. Maybe it's someone, maybe it's some activity, maybe it's something like I like watching movies. Watch a funny movie. Give yourself a time to relax, laugh, and come back to normal. Or try some relaxation. Nice slow breathing can be one that can really slow down that response and get you back to normal. Someone always tells you, take a deep breath. Taking deep breaths slows your heart rate, slows everything down so that you can make good decisions and you can push forward. Okay. When we relax, it also allows us to kind of go into that parasympathetic state so we can rest, digest, and everything goes back to our nice level homeostasis. You can try options like progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation is a nice, easy relaxation technique that you can do at home. You can do it really anywhere as long as you can just kind of lay down and then slowly start thinking all the way down from your toes, all the way up to your head, slowly relaxing each small muscle in your body, each area, until you are finally down to a nice, relaxed, totally relaxed state. Okay. This one for me always puts me to sleep. So if you have something that you have to do after, may not be the best relaxation technique, but if it's a nice relaxation time, take your time to really slowly relax each part of your body, and it can help you kind of push that stress out. Other things like visualization, okay, identify things that help you relax or areas where you feel the most happy, relaxed. Close your eyes and think about that scenario. Think about the sights, the sounds, the smells, how it feels, and imagine you're in that place. It's okay. Your imagination is a good place to go. Use your imagination and use it to help you visualize some relaxed places. Okay. Other things, when I like deep breathing, okay, breathing into your belly, not breathing through your shoulders. Okay, that's a more tension based breathing. If we breathe through our belly and trying to push our stomach out every time we take a breath in, push it all the way back in as we push our breath out, and do that slowly. I recommend doing things like box breathing, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and do that a few times. I recommend trying it out right now. Just breathe in slow, breathe out slow, and repeat and repeat and repeat. Okay, try it out, see what happens. Other things like being mindful, practicing things like yoga and Tai Chi are great ways to help you relax. If you're not in your yoga class right now, hopefully you're able to. You have this magic thing called Google. You can find things on things like YouTube, like you're on right now, to watch me. Find a yoga video or a Tai Chi video and try it out. You probably have some extra time now. Try some new things out. It may help you relax and come back down. Other things like listening to music, I recommend not loud music that you would listen to get yourself amped up if you're trying to relax. But find music that helps you go into that nice relaxation, no stress zone and allow you to come back to normal. Okay, things that are counterproductive. There are counterproductive things like binge eating and other substances that change the way we feel. These are avoidance techniques. These aren't management techniques. These may help you feel better for a small period of time, and then once that feeling wears off, you're back to feeling the same way you did before, and maybe even worse. So finding one of those positive management techniques, relaxation, control, positivity techniques, much better options than things like overeating or using other substances. Okay? If you need help with managing stress, you've tried, you don't know what to do, you're having trouble, the health center is a great place to go. We have a counseling center on campus. You can go and talk to people, or right now I think you can virtually talk to people, and they can help you with your situation. Okay. Going and talking to someone or having a virtual meeting or something like that is okay. It's helpful. Okay. Find someone who you can work this out with, especially if it's a chronic stressor in your life, or you need to find a strategy to help yourself manage those stressors long term if it's a situational stressor or something like that. Okay. You may need professional help. Okay. People are professionals for a reason. They're good at what they do. If you need to go see someone to help you with your stress-related issues, go. It's going to help you. Okay. And then understand if stressors may be something more serious. If stress stays long-term and it interferes with your life, okay, it may lead to other emotional issues or emotional problems like anxiety and depression. If you're feeling those, go talk to someone. Okay. They can help you. Okay. That should be a positive experience for you. That's you taking control of your well-being and your emotions and how you feel, and taking control and going and taking it to someone who can definitely help you with that. Okay, if you've had other things like delusions, negative thoughts, chronically negative thoughts, or using other substances to an extent that is beyond normal and healthy and is interfering with your well-being, I do recommend going and talking to someone. They can help you. They're trained to help you, and they're there to help you. That's their job, and that's what they love to do. Okay, so if you have feelings like changes in your appetite, changes in your mood, okay, right now it's a stressful time. These may be hitting you right now. Okay, find an option to help you get through that situation. Okay, it may cause disturbed sleep, change in your energy, your thinking. If you're noticing major changes from some stress, talk to someone. They can definitely help you get through that situation. If you have someone around you that's going through these, be supportive, be there for them. Okay, they need that support. They need that positivity. Okay, don't tell them they're wrong. Don't blame them for what's going on. Don't tell them to stop. Okay, they're probably trying to stop. Okay, be supportive. Tell them you're there for them. Okay, that's the only thing you can really do, and help them get the help they need. Okay, if you have other those negative thoughts, try thought stopping, putting that big stop sign up and finding a positive way. If you can't, find someone who can help you create some strategies that are perfect for you. Okay. Now let's talk about sleep. Okay, because sleep may be your stressor right now. You may be great right now because you can get a little bit more sleep, or you're working extra hard, so now you're not sleeping, or you're procrastinating, so you're not sleeping as much either. Okay. Sleep is necessary. We require sleep for normal function. We have different stages of sleep, and these stages determine how restful we're getting. Okay. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, is where dreams occur. They occur at different points during our sleep cycle when our brain waves are cycling through. That's why it's easiest to wake up at certain times, and then other times you can't wake up. Or when you wake up during a dream, it's easier to wake up because you're in a lighter level of sleep. You're closer to being awake. I recommend find a way to, normally it's somewhere around 7.5 to 8 hours where you'll wake up in an easier state because you're dreaming, or somewhere around an hour and a half, 3 hours. Every kind of hour and a half, you go through a full sleep cycle, or 90 minutes. If you're going to take a nap, plan it to be in that zone because you'll be in a lighter sleep level. Okay, other things for your sleep cycle. make sure you're getting through full rest cycles. If we're not getting through 4 or 5 cycles, we're not going to feel as rested and our body's not going to recover as well. Okay? If you're constantly feeling tired, sleepy, okay, you're trouble falling asleep, if you have trouble staying asleep, or you wake up over and over and over, okay, this may be a change in your sleep from some external stressor or some internal stressor. Okay, finding a nice common sleep and wake pattern, okay, things like going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. I know it's very difficult now because you may not have a schedule, but finding time to sleep, finding time to wake up, and doing it consistently can help your body stay within that zone, because we do have a circadian rhythm or a 24-hour rhythm within the human body that lets everything cycle through. Things like activity and exercise can help you really hone into that zone, and falling asleep in the same time window. I recommend an hour window. Maybe it's between 10 and 11, 11 and 12, 8 and 9, 9 and 10, and then waking up at the same time every day. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 8, and not trying to change that window too much can help you fall into a nice natural sleep rhythm. Okay, because our sleep does change our hormonal function. If we're not sleeping enough, our hormones change. If we're sleeping too much, it may be positive for us to an extent, but really a lack of sleep is what's going to cause the most issues. Okay, if you have sleep deprivation, your cognitive function, your mental function slows down, okay, and then your body starts to change the way that it interacts with the world because it is not able to fully recover. Okay, sleeping and driving, okay, if you're tired and driving is an example of where we have sleep deprivation. Okay, more injuries come from sleeping and driving than many other car accidents. Okay, it's very similar to being intoxicated. Okay, if you're drowsy, pull over. Okay, take some time, get up, move around. Maybe it's take a 10-minute nap, whatever you need to do, because if you're driving tired, you're not going to have as quick of reflexes, you're not going to move as quickly, and you're not going to be able to pay attention as well. You may be drifting off. Okay, find a way to stop, reset, and keep going. Don't just keep pouring down coffee. Okay, some of you may have something like a sleep disorder, okay, chronic insomnia, okay, where you can't sleep, or you disrupt sleep for days and days or weeks and weeks for over a long period of time, can cause some major differences in our hormonal and cognitive function. Sleep apnea, you may know someone with sleep apnea if they snore and stop breathing. It often happens in individuals who are overweight, but it does happen in those who are normal weight also. Okay, this is when it kind of blocks our airway. We have a soft palate that will collapse over the airway in the middle of the night, and then someone can't breathe. And then they go, and then they start breathing again, and then it stops. It's like they're someone's holding their breath and they're trying to get air back in. Okay, this is signs that someone has sleep apnea, and they may need to go through a sleep study or go see a doctor to get some kind of mouthpiece. Maybe it's a breathing device, because that constant waking up is interrupting their sleep cycle. It's going to interrupt their long-term function. Okay, you can go and you can go through a sleep study. You can talk to your doctor about your sleep. It's something we don't think about talking to our doctor about, but talking to your doctor, finding ways to, maybe strategies to benefit your sleep. And then if you're having a sleep disorder, addressing that sleep disorder. Okay, I recommend creating a good sleep environment. Like if you sleep in one room, don't go in that room unless it's time to sleep, or don't go into your bed unless it's time to go to bed. I recommend not doing work or things like that in your sleep space, because then you don't really feel like, oh, this is my workspace, or this is my play on my phone space or my watch TV space. Your body doesn't know, oh, this is sleep area. Find a sleep space that you only go to sleep. Other things like making sure it's dark and cool. 68 degrees or less is kind of that optimum temperature for positive sleep. Okay, so there's research out on how cold the bedroom should be or how cold your room should be. 68 degrees is a good zone. And then find activities that maybe are too stimulating and keep them away from your sleep space, like your phone. And then avoid substances that change your sleep, like caffeine, alcohol, things like that can disrupt your sleep rhythm. Okay? And then especially if you're very responsive to things like caffeine, may inhibit your ability to sleep and fall into deep sleep. Okay. We want to avoid this because sleep or disrupted sleep can cause a loss of productivity, a loss of focus, and a loss of the ability to engage in activities that you need to. So if that's school, your job, sleeping will help improve your performance. So that night before an exam and you are pulling an all-nighter to study, and then during the exam you can't stay awake, it's probably better that you just didn't study as much and slept more. I do recommend before an exam to not pull an all-nighter. It's not going to help you. You're not going to focus through that entire all-nighter. Maybe a good hour or two of really hard studying, and then sleep, and then get up, check your notes again. You probably remember things a little bit quicker if you get full rest and get enough sleep, and then you'll probably perform better on that exam. Okay. Other sleep pitfalls, okay, worrying before you go to bed. It will worsen your sleep because your body's going into that stressed state through an internal stressor. If you're thinking about everything that could go wrong, your body thinks that everything is going wrong and it's going to respond in that way. If you are having poor sleep, or if you wake up the next day, oh no, I didn't get 8 hours of sleep, you're not going to die from 6 hours of sleep. It's not going to really affect you really at all. Most of the time, if you have bad sleep or you have poor sleep, you'll be fine. It's long-term, over and over. If you're only getting 2 hours of sleep for a long period of time, or you're only getting disrupted sleep for a period of time, that's when we're going to see those negative effects. If it happens once, it happens once. If you perceive that it's going to be fine, your body will respond like, oh, I got enough sleep. And just taking maybe 5 or 10 minutes to do some progressive relaxation or deep breathing throughout the day can help reset that rhythm. Okay. I do also recommend, with improving our sleep and that sleep environment, your phone, put it away 30 minutes before you go to sleep. Okay, so you're not getting that same light in. We'll talk a little bit more about light, but in some other sections. But improving our sleep can come from not seeing light or having darkness. Right? I recommend turning your lights down as you're getting ready to go to bed. Okay, start turning one or a few lights off, dimming them down if you can, getting yourself ready to go to sleep. Your body responds, or your sleep response comes from light. So if you're constantly looking at your phone, you're getting a light response in your eyes. So your eyes think, oh, signals it's still daytime, you should still be awake, and then it's harder to fall asleep. Try it out. Okay, set your alarm, put it away. 30 minutes of no phone time, no notifications, no nothing. Maybe it'll be the least stressful time of your life, because no one's asking you to do anything and no one's trying to touch you, no one's trying to get near you. And you take that 30 minutes to progressively relax and then try to go to sleep. See what happens. Try it out. I recommend trying it out tonight and see what happens. Other than that, make sure you check your emails regularly for all your classes, and make sure that you check the discussion boards and keep going with all of your labs and your activities. Check those due dates, be aware, make a calendar, make a planner, and set yourself time to get everything done and get everything done in a timely, less stress manner. All right, thank you. I'll see you again on our next recording.